In this video we'll test out the first few versions of the warp drive fins. These fins are just a small step in the process of developing an ideal fin that can both change foil profile and twist to optimize the shape for each sailing direction and angle of attack. In the previous long-winded video I tried to explain the reasoning behind requiring twist. In short, to reduce drag and increase stability, the load needs to be reduced to zero at the fin tip by twisting. This is how birds turn and maintain stability. Prandtl showed mathematically why this is in 1933. The Horton brothers applied this practically to a series of flying wings without rudders that was 60% better than other aircraft in terms of range, speed and payload capacity whilst using the same available engines. The fins V1 to V3 tested in this video are all passively warped, that is, they use the water to twist. They are all made with a combination of stiff and flexible 3D printer filaments. The flexible stuff is TPU and is nearly indestructible and appears to be an ideal material to make fins that can change shape. The actively warped V4 fin hasn't been tested yet due to lack of wind. In theory, a properly warped fin should exhibit roughly 22% less lift than an equivalent size stiff fin. However, the drag should be around 35% less. This means the lift to drag ratio should be around 20% higher than an equivalent stiff fin. Since V1 and V2 aren't ideal, the actual numbers should be somewhere in between. There should be a noticeable or measurable improvement over stiff fins. I tested warp drive V1 in forecast strong squall, which turned out to be a light wind cruise for just 10 kilometers before the wind died. The fin worked well during the brief sail. Warp drive V2 was tested on a light wind day. Despite the cruising conditions, fin was rock solid and sailed 80 kilometers. There was another day of light wind sailing before a day of stronger wind. Conditions were a lot choppier than it looks and the fin felt locked in. In order to eliminate any bias I might have, Tim, a far more experienced sailor, agreed to give my board and fin a go whilst I followed him with the drone. He had tested it the previous day in light winds and said it accelerated much better than normal deltas. Since the rear camera was still running, I managed to record the entire debrief about the run, but it's very difficult to hear due to strong winds. Suffice to say, Tim was quite impressed with the fin and keen to try more like them. Since I was videoing the rear GPS, I was able to calculate the exact position the leash broke. The following day I easily retrieved the fin cam. Since V1 and V2 seemed to be an improvement over a stiffer fin, I was hopeful that V3 would be a further improvement, but it turned out the fin was a complete dud. There was no drive, it was hard to get going, and the fin let go a lot and had to be babied. I sailed at 40 kilometers just to test for longevity. This poor performance was maybe because I was on too small a board for the light wind conditions, but more likely the fin mast was just too soft. This doesn't bode well for V4 active warp fin, which has an identical mast as V3. Consequently, V5 has a much stronger mast, even though the build technique is vastly different. Unfortunately, there's not much wind here, so any testing is infrequent. Thanks for watching.